Now at 1 o'clock, the lunchtime news on BBC One with Rich Preston.
Hello there, good afternoon. President Biden's administration has cleared the way for the transfer of bombs and fighter planes worth billions of dollars to Israel. That's according to reports from the United States. There have been calls for Washington to reduce its military support or to link it to changes in Israel's conduct of its military campaign in Gaza. Meanwhile, packages of aid continue to be dropped by air to help people in Gaza. Our Middle East correspondent Lucy Williamson joined one of the latest American military aid flights and she sent this report.
Aid drops into Gaza are expensive, inefficient and increasingly controversial. These ready-prepared meals from the US Army are being flown more than 1,000 miles from a US airbase in Qatar.
There's plenty of food, just a short drive from Gaza's borders, but this American aid is being flown right across the Middle East.
80 crates of food on board 2 C-17 transport planes, dropped into a population the UN says is on the brink of famine.
It's not perfect. We know that there's upwards of 2 million people who need food on the ground, who are hungry, innocent civilians who didn't ask for this conflict. And we're dropping meals in the tens of thousands, but at least it's something. So does it feel like a drop in the bucket? Maybe a little bit. But if you're a family on the ground who got some of this aid, it can be a lifesaver.
12 people were reported to have drowned this week trying to retrieve packages from the sea. 6 others crushed in a stampede.
What are you doing to try and mitigate those risks?
Literally everything we can. So I know you spoke with the colonel earlier. We use a chute that falls at a slower rate to give the Gazans more time to see the parachutes and make sure that they're out of the way. We also have assets overhead that clear the drop zone, so we will not drop if there's any sort of groupings of people there.
After 3 hours in the air, the ramp opens on Gaza's devastated coastline.
They just opened the hatch, ready to release the aid down into Gaza. There's no organised distribution system down there. There it goes.
A drop of aid in an ocean of hunger. Getting aid in this way is a last resort, but a growing number of countries are doing it. How much do these eye-catching flights relieve pressure on Gaza's civilians, and how much the pressure on governments elsewhere? Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Qatar.
Well, meanwhile, the United Nations says the targeting of its peacekeepers is unacceptable after 3 observers were wounded by an explosion in southern Lebanon. The UN says it's investigating the cause of the blast. Israel has denied any responsibility. Our Middle East correspondent Yolande now joins us now live from Jerusalem. Yolande, what more do we know about this strike?
Well, this shell exploded near 3 UN military observers and their Lebanese translator as they were on a foot patrol along the Blue Line, which divides southern Lebanon from northern Israel. That's according to the UN peacekeeping mission UNIFIL. And this is an area where Israeli forces and the powerful Lebanese armed group Hezbollah regularly exchange fire. There's been an increase in tensions there, an increase in cross-border fire in just the past few days, raising fears about a further escalation of fighting in this region. Now, the Lebanese were quick to come out and point the finger of blame at the Israelis. The Israeli military then put out a short statement saying that it hadn't carried out a strike in this area. But in a separate development this lunchtime, the Palestinian Authority has also come out in relation to those reports in the Washington Post and on Reuters about new arms transfers from the US to Israel worth billions of dollars. These said to include F-35 warplanes and some very large bombs, some weighing as much as 2,000 pounds. The Washington Post says that these have all been green-lighted just at a time when the Biden administration's been raising concerns about high rates of civilians being killed in Gaza. The Palestinian Authority in the West Bank has come out saying that this really shows contradictory positions on the part of the Biden administration.
OK, Yolande now for us in Jerusalem. Yolande, thank you very much. Iran has denied any involvement in the stabbing of an Iranian journalist in London. Puriya Zarati, who works for the UK-based Iran International TV channel, was attacked yesterday in broad daylight. The station says it aims to provide independent coverage of Iran, but the country's regime has called it a terrorist organisation. Counter-terrorism police are investigating the incident. Now, in Northern Ireland, the fallout from yesterday's resignation of Sir Geoffrey Donaldson as leader of the Democratic Unionist Party continues. He's due in court next month, charged with historical sex offences, including rape. He says he will strenuously contest the charges. The DUP's new interim leader, Gavin Robinson, has urged party members to ignore the noise. Let's speak now to our Ireland reporter, Jennifer O'Leary. Jennifer, what's the latest on what remains a hugely significant story in Ireland?
Well, we're very much in the realm of aftershocks this afternoon. Here's the thing, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson was a leader who London and Dublin could do business with, the proof being the restoration of power sharing here at Stormont in recent weeks. And the First Minister, we know, and others have been keen to stress that Stormont remains standing. The big question, of course, is where this leaves unionism. Now, the DUP's new interim party leader, Gavin Robinson, has been out in a newsletter seen by the BBC. He is telling members that some will attempt to score what he's described as cheap political points, adding that he's urging party members to ignore the noise and that his thoughts are with those who have put their faith in the criminal justice system. Which brings me to another development today. The Police Service of Northern Ireland have issued a statement. Now, they have not named Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, but they are warning, they are reminding social media users that complainants in these types of cases have a right to anonymity, and those who breach that right, they say, will be investigated. An indication of how this case is continuing to impact across society here.
OK, Jennifer O'Leary, thank you very much. Now, we'll look at some other stories making the news today. A number of hostages being held at a nightclub in the Netherlands have all been freed. Police say a suspect has been taken into custody. Riot police and explosives experts had been deployed and the centre of the town of Aid was evacuated. Police said there was no reason to believe the incident was terror-related. In the wake of the bridge collapse in Baltimore after being hit by a container ship, it's emerged that most bridges in the United States do not have impact protection that could prevent similar incidents. CBS News says it's found that just over a third of more than 4,000 bridges, which allow ships to pass under them, are vulnerable. Construction of bridges built after 1991 have increased protection, but the rules did not require upgrades for older ones. And Pope Francis is due to preside over an Easter vigil today after pulling out of this Good Friday ceremony in Rome at short notice yesterday. Vatican officials say the Pope, who's 87, wanted to preserve his strength for the weekend. Now, a plethora of household bills are due to increase on Monday in what some are calling awful April. While energy prices are expected to fall, everything from internet charges to water bills and council tax are due to go up. Our cost of living correspondent, Coletta Smith, has more details.
Council tax at the moment is
£233. And that's
I'm doing the sums with Rachel.
£508 just to start with. That's not including your internet.
We're working out what the bills will look like next month for her family.
It's a huge chunk of money coming out. It's just something that's hanging over us every month.
Rachel's on maternity leave at the moment with an 8-month-old to look after. So price rises are hitting them hard.
There isn't one gap at all in my husband's salary. Every single pound goes towards just the house. Yeah, the energy might be coming down, but other bills are going up. The council tax, over £200 for council tax every single month. You know, that's a huge hit.
Most councils in England are increasing their rate by 5% from the 1st of April, like here in Southport. But some councils in dire financial straits have been allowed to increase it by more than that. Scotland is freezing council tax, but there's no limit in Wales, so some areas are set for a bigger increase than much of England.
I live in a 3-bedroom semi. I pay roughly £120 a month. It's a big outlay out of my pension.
Compared to some of my friends who live down south, we're paying a lot more in a lesser house.
Whatever's going on in your council, there will be discounts and reductions available. It's often around 25% off if you live alone, but if you have certain types of disability or if some people in your household are full-time students, it's well worth finding out if you qualify for a discount too. When it comes to mobile and broadband charges, most companies are upping prices by around 8% from the start of April if you're on a deal which allows for mid-contract rises.
It's just a bit cheeky, like just changing it.
When you're in the middle of a fixed deal as well, I think it's quite...
Yeah, what you've signed into and everything.
Yeah.
Having a mobile phone bill that will stay the same every month and is guaranteed not to go up is a godsend, really.
The key to beating this rise is to find out whether or not you're actually beyond the end of your contract. For a phone, it's pretty easy. You can just send a text to 85075 and you'll be pinged back a message telling you your contract details. If you are beyond your contract or nearly there, the likelihood is you can shop around for a better deal. When it comes to water bills in England and Wales, average charges are going up by an extra £28 a year. But as well as cutting back on your usage, there are schemes to help. Every water company offers a social tariff for people on lower incomes that can reduce your bills. What's on offer and who it applies to varies across the country, so it's worth finding out. But in England and Wales there's a scheme called WaterSure, and that can reduce your bills if you're on certain types of benefit and you need to use lots of water, either for medical reasons or because you've got 3 or more children of school age in the house.
It's more of a worry. It's hard, everything's going up.
I'm on a fixed income. I've been retired for 15 years. The money has got less and less.
Round and round the garden.
So while those gas and electricity prices are falling in April, Rachel and her family are right not to be expecting extra cash in their pocket with so many other price increases. Coletta Smith, BBC News in Southport.
Right, that's all from me for now. Much more, of course, on the BBC News website or the BBC News app. The next news here on BBC One is at 5:30. Bye-bye for now. Hello. Well, these are called mammatus clouds behind me. The weather's been quite dramatic in the last few days, but today it's a little quieter. There's more sunshine around. Still a few showers expected through the Easter weekend, but by Monday it looks as though more substantial rain clouds are once again on the way. Now let's have a look at the satellite picture, and you can see this small window of fine weather over us with rain clouds to the east, to the west, some showers to the south. Now today, yes, showers are brewing across parts of Scotland, well, almost anywhere really. You may just run into a shower, but predominantly we are talking about dry and bright weather with temperatures of around 12 to 15 degrees Celsius, so nothing spectacular, but at least the winds are a little bit lighter today. The forecast for tonight shows a bit of rain towards the southwest and west, but generally speaking, it's a clear night, touch of frost in the north, bit of mist and fog will form across central and southern parts of England, so quite hazy skies first thing. But tomorrow, and actually before we go to tomorrow's forecast, I've got to tell you, we've got the clocks going forward today. So at 1 a.m, I'll leave you to work that out. Okay, back to the weather forecast. So we've got some sunshine across Scotland and western areas tomorrow, but the North Sea coast will be pretty cloudy, even a bit of drizzle in places. So I think anywhere from, say, Newcastle down to Hull and Norwich could be pretty chilly. The best of the sunshine will be out towards the west on Easter Sunday. And then as far as Monday's concerned, these weather systems once again start to sweep in from the south, so that more substantial area of rain for Easter Monday, not looking particularly pleasant at all. I think your best bet for brighter skies, western Scotland, perhaps Northern Ireland too, and in some areas those temperatures struggling, perhaps not even making double figures on Easter Monday. Here's the outlook for the week ahead. Look at these rain icons, a chance of catching rain pretty much every day. That's it. Bye-bye.
We've got rampant inflation, and that's just the claims in some of your CVs. Because you're a Del Boy of business? Is that because you're a plonker or what? Time to talk business.
The Apprentice. Watch on BBC One and iPlayer.
A very special Saturday afternoon on BBC One as we bring you the 169th boat race. See it live after another historic clash between the Reds and the Blues.
Today's bargain hunt comes from Brackley in Northamptonshire, a town with a rich history.
The Saxons who settled here made their homes at the top of the hill, where St. Peter's Church stands today.